So this is the warm-up exercise for our Bolt.new assignment, which is our last assignment where we'll be looking at vibe coding. So do check out the videos and other pre-read materials. I've included that some in here, but do check the Learn site to understand what you have to do to kind of prepare for this assignment. Now this one is going to work a little differently as compared to automating the flows we saw as we did with the custom GPTs as well as the RPA. Instead, what we're going to do here, we're going to be building an app. And so the way that works is that you will have an initial set of features that you have to get started with. And the question is, why is it just the initial set of features and not the final set of features? Because that's essentially how vibe coding works. Vibe coding works by getting a bare set of requirements that you think that probably will work for the app that you want to build. And then you will iterate as you go through that process, modifying and building up the app and kind of filling in those features that you think are missing as you build that app. So what we're going to do, we're just going to take these set of features that we have here in the warm-up assignment, and we're just going to put it in Bolt.new and see what we come up with. Now, there are two ways we can get started. One is to just go with the set of features we have documented here. The other thing is to enhance the prompt using Bolt.new's generative AI tool in here. So let's click that and see what happens. So you can see it has now given its own take on what we want to build here. Now, you may like that or you may not like that because sometimes it may hallucinate, as we've discussed before. So for example, when I did an earlier iteration of this, it gave me 6 courses instead of 5 courses. So that could be useful, that could not be useful. For example, here, it's included break times. We didn't have break times in the original set of documentation. It's giving you export for functionality as well, where you can export to a PDF. And then there's other aspects in there. This looks pretty good to me, so let's go with it and see what happens. Now, Bolt.new will take a while, and so we'll come back once this is fully developed. So we have our first iteration ready to look and review and to see how we want to kind of change things. For example, we see here we have a very basic app here in terms of we can set the exam schedule. So now we're just going to put some course names in here. I'm just going to use course 1, course 2, course 3. So as we can see, one of the challenges with this one is that you can't change the priority before. You might even not like priority in there. What is good about its capabilities is that it automatically does the distribute equally, which is quite beneficial because you don't have to play around with the slider trying to get this to work. So that is actually a good feature. Let's generate the study schedule and see what happens. Now, as you can see that this is not very helpful because it's just kind of giving you these kind of giant blocks in here. So why don't we add the ability to add breaks? One thing you can do in Bolt.new is you can open a separate preview tab and interact with your app in the browser as opposed to with the Bolt.new frame around it, which may be an easier way to see whether things are working. And if you want to actually see the code is here under the code side of things. So let's test this out again and see what other features we can add to this study plan. So let's give us choices here with the break settings. Let's just look at the short interval break. We're going to exclude meal breaks just to make it easier. So as you saw, when I was trying to generate the study schedule, something's not working there. And you can see now we've hit our first problem. And now you click Attempt to Fix. So it appears now Bolt has fixed the issue, but let's test it out and see what happened. And there you have it. So we can see that Bolt has fixed the issue, and now you have your study schedule. But we see a couple of problems here where we're going to fix on this iteration as well. So nice dashboard up here to kind of see how much progress is going on. One thing is that we can't write in anything that we want to study within the course itself. Course 1, what are we going to study on day 1 and things like that. So we probably want to write that down. The other thing we notice is using the 24-hour time clock. So let's fix those 2 issues. Looks like Bolt has fixed those issues, so let's see if that actually works. Now, one of the things you notice that I have to keep entering the date and the courses over and over again. This is because there's no data persistence. We're not using the backend database, which is through a different service called Supabase. In here, there's integration, so you can connect to Supabase. But this is a more advanced function which we will explore in a future course, which is offered in the fall in AFM 417. So if you're interested in that, do let me know. But this is a bit more advanced, so we're just going to keep it simple. Also, you can notice here, there's also the ability to add payments and things like that. So this is completely designed for non-technical users to build a full stack application. Full stack means both the front end and the back end. So let's add the dates again. So we can see it added one of the changes there where it did include the breaks. It's using the kind of regular clock. And for some reason it only goes to 7:15, so we'll have to, that's something else that could be potentially fixed as well. What it has done is it included a study checklist below each course. So now you can add an item. So you can see it has included the study checklist. It was just hidden under here. So this is a good example of how the app works, and it's an iterative process. So let's try to export the PDF. So we can see that's not working. So let's try to fix that. So this is the output. It's not perfect, and you probably have to kind of work on it a little bit more to kind of make it work, but it is a good example of how Bolt.new works. One more thing to show you on Bolt.new. So you can, if you click this button, it'll deploy to Netlify, which is a different service. So there's 3 services essentially you're dealing with if you wanted to sell applications yourself. So if you wanted to develop a full stack application, you would build the front end, build the back end, and then you would actually click deploy, which would go to another service called Netlify, which you'd have to set up an account there. So that gives you a good overview of what to expect with the assignment. The assignment, we will be looking at an invoice generator where you will build the invoice generator. And it'll be a similar process to this where you'll start off with an initial set of requirements. You'll have to develop those requirements yourself and then iterate as you've seen we've done here with the exam and study planner that we've built. We will see you on the other side. Bye for now.
Vibe coding rocks, man.